Oops. There we go. Hello, everybody. Hope you're all having a nice day today. Hello, everybody. Get that echo out of there. Okay, today we have a special therapist roundtable with my good therapist friends here, Dana and Daniel at Joyful Danish. And this is a special live stream because we saw a certain comment from a special crypto friend here at the Greek God 11. And, he had a very honest and real post. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. I'm not sure. But just very, just very real, very palpable post about where he's at right now, how he's feeling. And I thought let's do a little stream and talk about some of his struggles because I think this is a lot of people's struggles in crypto and a lot of people resonate with this. So let's do that. Let's bring on Daniela.
Hi, everyone.
3619. Hello. And Mr. Joyful Danish. Okay. So let's see here. Let's change the background here. Hold on a second. There we go. I like that better. How y'all doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. How are you doing, Brandon?
I am busy. That's how I am doing.
Me too. I'm
never
multitasking right now.
Okay, so I thought what we could do here is I'm gonna bring up Mr. Greek God 11's post and just read through it, and then we all can kind of chime in afterwards on the important parts that we want to discuss that maybe could benefit all people in Pulse Chain and crypto. I think that could be good. You guys ready to do that?
Of course.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
Let's do that. So here we go. Okay. Let me make this bigger. All right. So he says, real talk. I never thought this would happen, but I'm probably close to reaching a breaking point. I'm not speaking from a standpoint, hold on here, of quote, I'm close to give up and sell my bags because I'm so scared. Truth is, I'd never sell. I'd rather be homeless and lose everything in my personal life than ever sell a fucking penny in a bear market. I'm neither scared nor worried nor anything. I simply feel nothing. And this is the issue. If you've been here as long as me, you'd understand that certain things take a while. But also, you get older, you see life passing by, and misery is an omnipresent shadow behind your back. The worst, yeah. This feels very big for Mr. Greek God. The worst feeling is realizing that most often nothing ever happens. It's always you hoping, wishing, praying for specific things to show up in your life, but they never do. They never, emphasize, never do. So unless you actively start to get things done, life will simply continue to pass. And one day you're old, you're sick, and no amount of money can fix that. No amount of money can revert to the past. No amount of money can bring time back, time that you lost while waiting for whatever. It's the same thing for Same thing with waiting for a bull run. Sure, there's little alternative out there. If you're not in crypto, what else will you do? You're doomed if you're not fully stacked. It's your only way out. Even if it means having to go through hell for this. No, you see, what I partially regret is having made crypto a full time hobby, a passion. Day and night, you're reading, posting about it, about nothing else. And what for? So it drains your energy nonstop. It drains your life, drains your soul, drains your creativity for something else in life. What people should do instead is make an investment and then fuck off for years, just as they do with stocks. No mofo sits in Telegram group and talks about their Apple stock day and night and gets emotional about this and that. It's solely a crypto phenomenon. And this is also why crypto is both the best and most dangerous thing in the world. It's addicting and designed in a way to get you engaged. Oh, look at this fancy dog coin with the funny memes. Many crypto coins do not have cults in them without a reason. Back then, men went on into fraternities. They had men's clubs, they had all kinds of sacred spaces where they met with other guys and shared their passions and struggles, like brotherhoods. And now it's crypto coins. It's absolutely degenerate, but totally fitting for the absurd times we live in today. I sincerely regret at times to ever have made an online account because it drains you. You constantly have to be productive. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate the many people I met. I appreciate the many experiences I made and lots of stuff I learned along the way. But on a deeper surface, there's moments I simply hate everything that has to do with crypto. Sometimes you want to share your many other passions, but most do not care. Most expect you to deliver, to keep the mob entertained, and to help those struggling to live through these times. Everyone expects something. It's also tiresome. I perfectly understand the pivot of the situation. It's designed this way. It all became so redundant and boring and tiring to make everyone, including me, feel awful. I feel awful because I'm burned out. 5 years of nonstop content, 5 years of precious time that may or may not be wasted, thrown out the window. Most cannot relate because most haven't been here for this long, and most people are consumers. Most people are energy vampires. They consume, but they never provide. I simply feel empty as never ever before, sucked out of my life force. And I kind of doubt that even if crypto exploded tomorrow, it would change a single bit for my soul's health. It might calm the wounds, but all those scars will never go away. Just like Frodo, unable to return to his former life, forced to leave Middle Earth, just like him. Poor Frodo. Poor Frodo. Okay. So, let's pull this back here. All right, let's bring us up. One thing at the end that I just kind of noticed reading the end part is the connection he has to his soul's health and his crypto backs. So that's a right off the bat. I want everyone to know your soul, your precious, sacred soul, has nothing to do with crypto and how crypto is doing. So I want you to know that no one's soul is connected to crypto. Our souls are much deeper than that. Anyways, thoughts. Who wants to start first?
Several thoughts.
Yeah, or maybe which parts stuck out to you, or do you think
Number one, I think he's acknowledging he's suffering from burnout. So at least I think he's aware that this is not his normal condition. This is not who he is normally. But on the other hand, I think he's not realizing that a lot of his thought process and what he's writing in the post is, of course, affected by the burnout sensations and by the condition he's going through right now. So I feel like, on one hand, I feel like it's fantastic that he can do something with it, that he's still productive. He's complaining of I think on one hand he's complaining of hyper productivity, and on the other hand he's complaining of lack of productivity. But I feel like he's still using he's using his burnout to reflect about something, kind of like a cautionary tale. When I read his post a few days ago, I started thinking about life cautionary tales and learning about our experiences. So I think he realized he has a full sense of self-awareness of his condition, but he's not. I don't think he's aware of how burnout affects the thought process and the emotions, and how fatalistic and catastrophic he became right now. And like the emotional struggle he's going through right now is not like the regular struggle we go through life, like he's talking about, but at this particular moment. So I think that his reflection in retrospective right now, it's clouded by this burnout condition he's going through right now. That's what I think, but I don't know the author of the post, so I don't know if this is the way he thinks normally, like before or after burnout or during burnout, or like this is something that is happening to him right now. So I couldn't, and I don't know his personality traits, but yeah, that's a thought I had about it.
Yeah, for sure. And just to say, we actually don't. I mean, I don't know if you guys do, but I don't know anything about Mr. Greek God. So this is none of what we're saying is like a substitute for getting actual, clinical help here, which you probably should do. But yeah, we don't know about the rest of his life, and we're just kind of commenting on what he's put out there, and so we might be making some generalizations, but
Exactly. This is helping everyone else.
We're trying to be helpful. That's right. All right, Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, I do have a little bit to back up to some degree, because this is actually what I'm trying to focusing on and dedicate a lot of my life on the last few years, because this is definitely an area that's not really getting talked about a lot. Trying to improve health in Web3, but there's so many kind of invisible enemies, and that's kind of what you can get some ideas of this post from this guy. But as you can see, actually, in his comments of this post, there's surprisingly a lot of people agreeing and recognizing themselves in this description that he tried to express. And there's a lot of these stress signs, and even more I have gathered from my clients over the last 2 years, physically, psychologically, and behaviorally. And a lot of this is under the psychological science. But if I only, because there is a lot, but our time usually tend to go crazy, so I'll keep it as a sample for now. Daniela touched on the burnout. Yeah, sure. And I'll also put on the stress sign, the crypto stress sign, putting your life on hold / rumination. Because the thing is, like, the guy says that he's been here for 5 years in crypto. I don't know if it was like full time for the full 5 years, or partially some of these years has been full time, because that definitely also can play a definitive difference in how wild this is. But it definitely sounds like that this has taken an emotional toll on him, no matter what. But this thing of like putting your life on hold, like that's what I at least noticed in particular in his text. And I recognize it from other people as well. The thing is, like, I kind of compared a little bit to, like, you remember in the Klondike times in California, where like the gold rush, where people were trying to pursue the chance of hitting strike gold. You know, they'll go to California, buy some equipment, buy some piece of land, and start digging, hoping they will hit something. Sometimes they did, but because of this craziness, well, maybe they got something, but then another guy stole that gold from another guy, and then, you know, crazy stuff. But now I can kind of see this is sort of like what's happening again, but now in a digital version with crypto. We are willing to pay such a high price, many of us in crypto, that we end up putting our health and well-being at stake. We're not only staking our hex or other coins or whatever, we also actually, without noticing it, because many of these stress signs, and that's why it was a kind of aha moment for me too, to starting to map out the different stress signs, both in a bull market and in a bear market, because it's two different scenarios, two different problems. And a lot of these stress signs are invisible enemies. So I'll just take this one example, like putting your life on hold is like an invisible prison. You let yourself pause what you actually enjoyed and did other stuff that was not crypto related. Now you don't, and you have nothing to actually hold up your mood, and nothing motivates you anymore. Only this coin is going to save you. That's kind of suddenly the mindset, and it's just you're putting so much control over to something that you don't actually can control. Sure, you can put the risk to, like, I hope this will maybe do something. Sure, but is it worth it to, like, one, pause your life, not enjoying it, not living it? How do you stay human in that, you know? And then an added stress sign that will be on top of this, usually the uncertainty for how long shall this continue. You don't know, and you surely don't know if this is going to be worth it, like he actually addressing it later further down in the post as well.
I will add that for sure it's not going to be worth it if you address it in the way that he did it. That I think one of the definitions of burnout is overworking without a balance, like you were mentioning, Daniel. The problem, I mean, in burnout, according to the definition, the problem is not the work you put in what you are doing, but the excess of work you're putting for certain activity, like not being able to regulate yourself, not being able to do a work-life balance situation in an appropriate manner. I think that, in my opinion, maybe in this case, what happened is that the person, for this man, for his personality, didn't set up an appropriate life-work balance in this case. So what it will work for him, I step up, like I went to the end of the meetup, like let's just talk about the solutions. We'll be like working in that area. I think that since he's feeling burnout right now, like burnout doesn't allow you to process thoughts and emotions in an appropriate manner, in an accurate manner. He's like using a lot of external blame, right? Which is till a certain point, it's justified. And I agree. These tools are used also to become addicted. The crypto world is particular in this case. People can, is it true? Is it not true that the community can be grateful or ungrateful? They can be emotional vampires or not. That I don't know. It depends. But I do know that his emotions and thought process right now are being compromised. So in this case, like I would say, like the best reflection he did was, for me, it's not was it worth it these 5 years, but in what way could I have done it better. So I can think in that, so I can start doing it from now on. Because he said, like, I'm not gonna step down. I still like this. This is not the problem. The problem, I don't think he still knows what the problem is, but I think to me the problem is like what you were saying, Daniel, like the lack of appropriate work-life balance in his case. So yeah, that.
Yeah, for sure. That is the understatement. The Mr. Greek God, your work-life balance is a bit skewed, I would say. You know, go ahead, Daniel.
I don't know if it's helpful. I can read the definition of burnout because I don't know if people knows what the basic definition of burnout is. Is the one? If you guys want
Burnout?
me to read
Yeah,
it?
you could, if
Yeah.
you want to, sure.
I like if you don't want to. I felt actually quite interested in this topic because there is not a psychiatric definition for burnout. Burnout is not recognized like a medical diagnosis for the DSM-3, 4, 5, like this manual diagnosis in psychiatry. There are like adjustment disorders and depression. So I was like, okay, let's dig in this burnout. What is the difference between burnout, adjustment disorders, depression, anxiety? So I think it's worth it. So burnout is considered a state of emotional, mental, and physical exhaustion caused by prolonged stress, overwork, and lack of balance in life. Basically, the definition explains everything about basically what you have to do, what caused it, and what do you have to do about it. It's characterized by feelings of hopelessness, detachment, and cynicism towards work or activities that were once enjoyed. But it's like what he's living is from the book. Like everything that is explained is what he's going through, and he explained. Burnout can lead to reduced productivity, motivation, and performance, as well as increased vulnerability to illnesses and decreased overall well-being. It is a common phenomenon that can affect anyone, regardless of profession or walk of life. And basically, I wanted to read this definition because it's a way to differentiate, like, do I feel burnout? Do I feel depressed? Do I feel anxious? Like, depression and burnout can overlap, but in general, burnout is caused for a lack of balance between work and life, whereas depression can be caused by several reasons that can be related to the work life, can be related to personal life, like multiple causalities. And anxiety is a sensation of sensation of constant worriness. So you can have those things, those conditions when you have burnout, but they are not the same. Okay, that's it for now.
Okay. No, that's good. Yeah, I kind of feel like burnout can happen in a lot of areas of life. You know, you can get burned out at work, certain relationships. Yeah, there's, even I've had some things I enjoy doing, hobbies, but I can get burned out on those too. If I find like a food I like and I eat it too much, I get burned out on that, like
Yes,
I think that's
there will be like a
very
decrease of pleasure that comes with burnout. It can, like, many areas of the brain get affected during burnout. You have the prefrontal cortex, you have the amygdala, and a few more areas I don't remember right now. But basically there are like two neurotransmitters affected: cortisol and dopamine. Cortisol, like the increasing cortisol, and dopamine, the decreasing dopamine. And dopamine is the neurotransmitter that works in motivation. Serotonin as well in pleasure. So you have diminished pleasure, decreased motivation. So basically, what you need to do is balance that out again.
It turns into pretty much any addiction, or you do something too much and it loses its effectiveness. For me, I kind of, there's a lot of different parts in the post here. He says he feels nothing, and you guys are touching on like the burnout part of it. And it does feel like there's some depression going on here. But what that I think with the work-life balance and burnout. Like I was reading this book, and this guy was talking. It was like about men's health or something, and he said, one of the chapters is like about we only have so many fucks we can give in life, right? Like, you can't give a fuck about everything that happens. You know, you only have a finite amount, and by that obviously he means time and energy. We only have so much of that. So where is that going to go? You know, um, and making sure you put that in the right places. Because I can do so if I'm doing something I love doing, I can get like, burned out, let's say. But because I enjoy doing it, it doesn't affect the rest of my emotional self and my mental health the same way it would be if I was doing something that I wasn't getting as much meaning or connection with people, right? Something that kept me going. When I'm doing something like that, that gives me energy, that really excites me, I'm really interested in, really engaged in, I can test those limits of burnout a little bit better. Uh, but if I'm doing something and I don't feel like that, then I get burned out much quicker. And I feel like that's where Mr. Greek God is at here, is that he's really putting in a lot, and there's an expectation of something, and it generally just sounds like, look, you want to your crypto bags to go up, make a lot of money, profit, and all that, you know and that's cool. But to me, I find that if that's the end game, that's your ultimate goal, then a lot of times it doesn't there's not like a deeper fulfillment or happiness to that. Happiness is maybe not the best word, but a deeper joy, contentment, peace with life, in the pursuit of just getting more money. Like, oftentimes, even people who have lots of money, they're still trying to get more and more, accumulate more power, more wealth, more money, and that just see that goal just seems to grow bigger and bigger even when you get it. Um, so kind of like there was a study I read about people who won the lottery, and a lot of them were like, because they didn't manage money and they were depressed before they won the lottery, that didn't really change much for their emotional self or their mental health after they won. I mean, at first, a little bit, yes, obviously, but suicide rates were higher, levels of depression were higher. You have people who are wanting to take advantage of you, use you, right? So, like that, what's the phrase? More money, more problems, right? So, um, the main thing I got was, I think, Mr. Greek got it, and for all of us in crypto and especially Pulse Chain, right? That we can't make our life about this. We can't make our life about crypto and what the price is now and how things are going now. And I know it's been a long time, so it's not like he said it was 5 years or something. So he's it's been a long time. But if this is your end goal, I don't think you're going to find peace and contentment in life, because that's just not how crypto works. It's very high and very low, and then there's periods where it stays the same relatively for a long time, but you know mostly volatile though. um so I would say, kind of like Daniel was saying, more like a hobby, focusing on a career or something that gives you joy and meaning in life. um and I think that if and when the money comes, it's a complement to what you already have. It wasn't the goal, wasn't the primary purpose of your life, but it's a very nice complement to what your life was already going to be about. So, and again, that could be, you can have lots of parts to your life, hobbies, career, relationships. Maybe you want a family, lots of different things. But money, I think, is best served as a very nice complement to what we're already experiencing in life. If we're already at content and peace and feeling like life is full. Yeah, that's
and still have projects to do, you know, that's maybe not crypto related. Because again, if you back to one of the signs that I mentioned, like you kind of pause your life, you put yourself, well, voluntarily, but not really, in jail. You know, you don't really do anything, and you keep getting, you know, sucked to the screen, to the charts, and because you may be over leveraged, right? You put too much in, more than you actually were willing to admit that was healthy for you to do. So that will physically put you and mentally put yourself in much more higher alertness, and that will consume a lot of energy as well. So that could eventually also be a contribution factor for the burnout. All the way around actually. And with the lottery thing you said, like I heard actually, I was to a crypto meetup a few weeks ago, and one of them was from France, and we talked about this. That oh yeah, you know that when lottery winners win, study shows that usually when the people they have followed for like, I think it's like it varies, but like it's years, 5 to 7 years. Usually, what end up happening is like that they end up spending all the money, but not decreasing their lifestyle. Now they're taking debt. So either they lose all the money, or now they're taking loans to still maintain the luxurious lifestyle that they kind of still want to have.
Yeah.
And in France, he said that's why it's actually by law that if you win big in lottery in France, you will have to go to a psychologist for a year in order to actually be able to maintain and mentally build up to like managing it, and how can you accustom to that new life that it is and can be. But if you're not prepared,
No.
you can lose it very
Now,
fast, you know.
is that a recommendation, or are you saying that's a
The
they
guy said, I haven't checked up on it, but I
Okay.
just found it interesting that he said that in France, apparently it's law that if you win big
Holy
in the
crap.
lottery in France, you have to go to a psychologist for a year in order to actually slowly adapt to this
That's a
amount of wealth.
crazy.
You know, like wealth.
That's a
wealth
crazy
syndrome.
law, though. That's.
I think
Well,
it's
I mean,
fantastic.
I think it's
But-
helpful. I mean,
I
it's
mean,
helpful, but
well-
it's a crazy that it's a law.
Yeah,
though.
I know it's crazy.
well, I mean, have you heard about sudden wealth syndrome? It's a thing.
Yeah.
And well, most people never hear about it, but because we'll never really have this amount of money to trigger this. But it happens, and it's a real thing.
Mhm.
And I just thought that it was interesting. Back to like what you said, that you still need to have your life and have something that kind of can have your flow, that you kind of still can live your life no matter what. But that's hard if you kind of already paused, make a hard pause on your
Mhm.
life, because now you're just going to wait for how long? You don't know. And somehow you just kind of said, screw it. I don't care. I'm just, you can even see it on some of the comments below this post that we just read, that many of them kind of have this mentality, you know, that it is going to be all or nothing, you know, either this is going to skywire or haywire, you know, it's like either or. And it's a crazy high risk mentality. High risk, high reward, sure, but high stress is also included in this prize that you want to win, which you don't even know that you're going to win. And then you end up like this, you know, 5 years, 10 years later, as he said, time still goes by. You're exchanging a valuta, a currency, time that you don't know how much you have time off left for something that you don't even know that you're going to get. That's kind of crazy.
I think that Brandon is
Yeah, I
disconnected.
think he'll be back though.
I think he's gonna be back. In what you say, Daniel, I partially agree because I would like to kind of like, I feel like regardless of the uncertainty of the outcome, because sometimes the outcome can be certain and sometimes can be uncertain, right? Because burnout, I mean, in this case with crypto, it could be more or less certain or uncertain. It depends of the level of knowledge you have in the area. The author is complaining not only about the extreme energy and time he put during these 5 years, and also he's complaining about the fact that he feels uncertain about the outcome. But in many cases, many people might not feel uncertain about the outcome and still feel burnout, right? How do we manage that, right? Because some people might say, okay, if I am not sure about the outcome, then it's not worth it. So I'm moving on. But what if it's worth it? How do we manage work-life balance? Because the problem is not in reality the thing. The problem is us, how our management, right, of the situation.
Right.
And
But that's
yes.
Yeah,
the management of the
just finish.
situation on one hand that caused the situation. I think you were talking right now about prevention, like how not to get to that, right? Which is
No, yeah, it's a combination, but it's also to give an insight, like what I hear from clients, and also sort of been to some degree my own experience, that there is definitely something to it. And the crypto space, it's a little bit a thing of its own as well in that regard. Like he kind of addressed it as well, like he said, like like there's no mofo sit in a Telegram group and talks about the Apple stocks day and night and get emotional about this and that. It's solely a crypto phenomenon.
It's not going to change the outcome. Even if the outcome is fantastic, it's not going to change it. We've been talking hours and hours.
I feel like what's it called? The guy who has the channel, crypto dollar DCC DC dollar cost crypto. Yeah, I think that's the channel. I think he said it pretty good. Like crypto is like a crazy thing. It's sort of like a cult and a football game and a religion all in one. What?
Big combo. What you just mentioned. Yeah.
I think Brandon wanted. Did you try to say something?
No, I was agreeing with you. Yeah,
okay.
It is. Crypto space is very
it's
unique.
a crazy place.
It is, and like kind of what he's alluding to is maybe, and I think this probably has to do. It pertains more to Pulse Chain and degenerate areas like Pulse Chain, where there's meme coins and just absolute craziness. Like if you're just Bitcoin, right? Like okay, or stable coins. I mean, it's not as crazy, but like in this, like in our little corner here of crypto, it feeds on feeding us dopamine. That's what I'm saying. It feeds us dopamine, and like that's what gets a lot of people, I think, like Greek God addicted. And what keeps us going too is it's fun and we want the dopamine hit, and like there's entertainment. You can't deny that. So the problem is that like the burnout or anything you're addicted to is that it wears off, and the pursuit can become all about dopamine hits, which in the end it does feel empty. And I think he said something about that in his post. It definitely feels very empty. Because
and again, then it doesn't help that you pause your life. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, there's just right. You're pausing your life, but like you're not really connecting to something bigger in life. I think that's something that we all need to like help people. We all need to be connected to something larger than us in life to for true meaning, you know. Like if you ever read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning book, I'm sure
Mm.
you guys maybe have read that, but
Beautiful.
he would got him through was he was helping people in the concentration camps. I mean, he wasn't doing very well, but he focused on helping other people and ended up being one of the few that survived. And that's what he found is the ones that were focused on providing meaning and helping, they did the best. They made it through. And I think that's what can go missing in the endless stimulation and dopamine hits in crypto. Um, is just losing sight of that, and just the dopamine hit becomes like the meaning of our lives, um and I just think that's in the end it's just a short-sighted perspective, and we end up feeling a hole, feeling a loss. um Also too, I was reading in reading the post, like there's a certain sense of um like he's a little passive in life, in his participation in life. Like he talks about life happening to him and nothing ever happens, like the specific things in life. Um and I think with that kind of mindset that you're waiting for things outside of you to occur, um then there's only going to be very few times in life where you feel either happiness, euphoria, something good, dopamine, because um, those things don't just come when you want them to. That's not how life works. You know, you can't passively wait for things to happen. You have to be more active in creating the life that you want, that gives you meaning, that's going to be deeper than just the pursuit of money, but you have to be actively engaged in creating that. You can't just wait for it to come to you. Otherwise, life will pass you by. And I can sense that he has a lot of regret um in looking back and wishing that he did do it differently. And I hope that that's changing for him. Because that's my encouragement, if not, is to be more active in like trying to make things happen, creating the life that you want. Now you don't always get it even then, but in the creation of it, in the pursuit of it in that way, um you feel more alive, I think, on the journey of life, and there's a much better chance that you're going to be feeling fulfilled and at peace with yourself. um let's see here.
But that's also what I meant about like you kind of when you put your life on
Mhm.
pause, on holds, and you kind of let yourself being this sort of like mentally present, take yourself as a hostage of like, I can't
Yeah.
continue before this thing has 100x or whatever, and you
Yeah,
do
yeah,
nothing else. You are taking your own control away. You're putting control in something that you have very little effect over, and
mhm,
if you have nothing going on in your life beside this, it gets
yeah,
very empty, of
yeah,
course, as the years go by. It's
yeah,
inevitable. But you can take it slowly back.
mhm,
Start to make a gratitude practice. For example, every evening I do this in
yeah,
order to make the exercise fresh. It has to be from that day.
mhm,
3 to 5 things that I generally enjoyed and was grateful for
yeah,
that day.
Well, now that you've said that, Daniel,
Yeah, go
I
on.
am going to um I'm going to spotlight our good friend A Wild SJ here because she had a post yesterday that I noticed that I think pertains to exactly what you're saying here. And here it is. Can you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Make it a habit to talk about blessings more than burdens. When you spread positivity, as the positivity princess does, the universe blesses you with even more blessings. Close the window that triggers you, no matter how captivating it is. Dopamine hit, right? And be disciplined about what you entertain. Where focus goes, energy flows. I think that goes very well with what you're saying, Daniel. Focusing
yeah,
on
that, and
blessings.
then also from a Danish doctor, Bo Netterström. I remember I read that he said that it's also in my book. If you think about the next day's worries and problems, you actually cut your deep sleep in half.
Mhm.
So it's an advantage to think about the good things that will happen when you go to sleep.
Oh, that's lovely. I love
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, I mean, it makes so much sense that you would sleep better and be at peace when you're
Yeah.
focused on what did happen and how things have worked and
Yeah.
not just on the things that didn't happen, that we didn't get, that didn't work.
I like
I
that.
mean,
Who
it's
said
like
that,
so
Daniel?
much common sense. What's that?
Sorry, I like that. Where did you read that, Daniel? About like
Oh,
focusing on
this
the
just happened
good
to
things.
be, oh, okay. She says, "Yeah, I stole that from an IG post. It's so true. It is very true." So, a wild SJ, she posted that.
But I like
Yeah.
it because we're usually focusing the morning rituals, like the morning journaling of gratitude. But what
Mhm.
Daniel is mentioning, Joyful Daniel is mentioning, is like also focus, specifically also focus about that before going to sleep, because it's gonna it's gonna prevent you from
Yeah.
having a bad sleep. Let's put it in that way. So, and that
Yeah.
actually is correlated to biological functions, because we should have our heart rate lower before going to sleep to have a restful night, right? Like an appropriate sleep preparation for the next day. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's important to think of a life
Mm.
balance where we do morning rituals, gratitude rituals. So we start off with the right food, but also focusing in what did go right during the night, during the
Mhm.
day before going to sleep. So I love that. I love that. I didn't
Yeah.
think about it before, but it's
Ri
fantastic.
yeah, rituals, calming teas, benzos, whatever it is helps
Yeah.
you that helps you get there.
The avances
Um,
short term. Like yeah,
yeah, sure,
I
yeah,
did some research in regards to like burnout and possible treatments.
yeah.
And yes, there are like medications, there are supplementations, there are like different techniques that address like the
Mhm.
different areas of the brain and the body that were affected during burnout. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a little more complex than
Mhm.
just the morning and the night gratitude, like focusing in the cup
Yeah.
half full.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to notice these things and to be aware of this, so we don't get discouraged. Like, oh well, today I thought positively in a positive manner the entire day, and I still don't feel well. I don't feel like before the burnout. Why? What's happening? Well,
Mhm.
I don't know. I met with my friends the entire week, and I'm still not feeling like
Yeah.
I don't feel recovered. Well, it takes some time, because how we were talking,
Mhm.
it's a psychology. It's basically biology. Like we feel demotivated because our dopamine is low, our cortisol is high, we have like chronic inflammation. Burnout is not a situation that is acute, it's chronic. Once it's
Mhm.
installed in the body, it means it's because it already happened a long enough time to be to the body to to address it like chronic inflammation. So it's gonna take some time to leave that situation, that condition. But we have to address it to reach a positive outcome and like also prevent it for the future, right? So basically, we're gonna when we're in a burnout, we have like a state of chronic inflammation in the entire body, and distress, special distress in the brain. So what we need to do is address it like thinking in like, okay, I need to increase my serotonin, I need to increase my dopamine, but not in hits, more like in a baseline level. And I need to decrease cortisol, and especially the part of decreasing cortisol that takes time. So yeah, we need to be persistent in our work-life balance. And in the moment that you're like aware of that you have burnout, yes, you need to like focus in maybe more than ever, maybe taking a break and addressing this with a professional that helps you to set goals and like following the steps you need to follow to successfully heal from the burnout and continue with your life path. So yeah, don't feel discouraged. Seek for professional help, like someone that can support you in this particular time, and learn from it.
You guys know that guy Eckhart Tolle?
Yeah,
he's a writer, right?
He's an author, speaker, and I like the way he defines stress. He says stress is wanting something to be the way that it isn't. And if you think about stress and like your cortisol levels go up when you're stressed out, and I think what happens is you end up your baseline level of functioning becomes at a high level of cortisol, a high level of stress, right? And when you're obsessed with like your crypto portfolio and how the market's doing, you are maintaining, I think a lot of times you're maintaining that high level of stress, that high level of cortisol. And then what happens is you do that for so long and it's so exhausting, it's so tiring, your body decides to just shut down. And he even says in the post, like, I feel nothing now. Like, nothing matters, nothing changes. Well, I think part of it's because when you have that stress where you want your crypto bags to be the way that they aren't right now, and eventually your body tells you to fuck off and says, look, I can't keep handling this stress. Now I'm just going to shut down, deal with it. And in a lot of ways, we become out of control as to regulating our own energy and emotions, because we burnt the candle at both ends with the stress, and our body's just like, no, that's it. You're gonna take a time out now, whether you like it or not, and you're not gonna feel anything for a while.
Yes, burnout can be considered kind of like a physical disease. Like sometimes we cannot stop ourselves from a certain activity due to our personalities. Maybe we're like very obsessive, or like we have like this high success personality. Many times the body stops us, like we get sick, like we get like a flu or something, and we are forced to be like a week in bed and rest. It will be better if we don't get to that instance, right? Like we say before getting to that instance, like, okay, you know what? I think I'm starting to feel like I'm not enjoying regular activities as much as before. This might mean nothing or might mean something, right? Before like switching off, like Brandon was saying, to the point of like, this author is mentioning, I feel nothing, I feel numbed. But before that, it's not that happens from one day to the other. You already start to feel like decreased pleasure in activities that keeps happening and happening and happening, and you just like shut it off, don't pay attention to that. But the body and the mind start giving signals. When you feel that, oh, okay, like I used to love this, and now like I like it, it's fine, or like
Yeah.
whatever. And to the point that like I cannot even do it. Like in the previous step, okay, you know what, I might be high in cortisol, my dopamine might be crashing. What I should do is this next week or this next 2 weeks, I'm gonna focus more in meeting with my friends, on going like what things give me pleasure in a
Mhm.
healthy manner, not in an addictive manner. Okay, meeting with friends, going for a walk, meeting
Right.
with family, going to the gym. What daily activities I enjoy that I know that are healthy for me? Meditating, mindfulness, right? And if we don't know, like seek for help. Of course,
Yeah.
professional help,
Yeah.
especially if you're in this point, right? Because the brain, when it's inflamed, the cognitive functions decline. So he might not be able to find solutions right now that could be easy for him to get solutions in a previous state. And right now he might feel so overwhelmed that cannot find even the simplest solutions.
Yeah.
So it's good
Yeah.
to seek for help at this
Well,
moment.
and like Daniel was saying about the gratitude and a wild post that when you're overloaded with stress and your body shuts down, emotionally, your energy, it's harder to pick out and notice things to be grateful for, things that did go well, because everything's just shut down. You don't feel anything at all. So it's not even that negative will come, nothing will. And so that makes it hard to get yourself out of that space, because it requires great intentionality to practice gratitude, like telling yourself, okay, I'm going to think of 5 things at the end of the day today that went well, or 5 things that happened that I'm proud of myself for doing, right? But you don't feel like doing that when your body shut down. You do it anyways, but very hard. A lot of my clients, I try to explain that to them, that the practice, you're not gonna feel like it. It's not always gonna be like, you're in some Zen moment and you're at peace and like, "Oh, let me just think of all the things I'm grateful for." No, sometimes it's like, I'm freaking tired. I don't wanna do anything. I'm shut down. I feel absolutely numb to life, but you still do it anyways. That's what gets you out of it. Even when you're like that, you do it anyways. You keep practicing.
Yes, and
Or
I want to emphasize, right, this. If you don't feel like doing it, if you're overwhelmed, or if you have no energy to thinking one positive thing and all your brain is just in catastrophic mode, seek help. So I know it's something silly and you're like, how am I not going to be able to do it by myself? Well, in this moment, just think of you like if you were sick, just acknowledge it. Like it's like if I had a flu or something, I need someone that helps me. I need an accountable body. I need a coach. I need a professional of any kind that helps me to navigate through this till I move on.
Yeah, and what I even then also created, because I also had similar experience with different clients and so on. Like sometimes mentally they're maybe too far away from a positive state to try to think about these things. So I invented that in order to address that, that you can start with unpleasant gratefulness. So there's pleasant gratefulness and unpleasant gratefulness.
Hmm.
Unpleasant gratefulness is a form of gratefulness that's often driven by fear. Hold on. Something that did not happen to me and it's not in my life, or didn't have to do, that is in my life. So, for example,
Hmm.
that could be like stuff like,
Like an
okay,
external
well,
circumstance.
yeah, or like, well, I don't have the mafia after me who wants to end my life. I don't have any phobias. I'm not
Oh,
homeless. I'm not in
okay.
Gaza and get
Okay.
bombed.
So,
I don't have any
That's
extreme
true.
pains. I haven't lost my voice. I don't
I
have any
see. Okay.
handicaps. I'm not dead.
I
Stuff
don't
like
have
that.
cancer. Right. I haven't died. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So unpleasant gratefulness. So start
Mhm.
there. If there's a little bit, yeah, oh, that hippie thing is too positive, man. I'm not really up for that. Sure. Then just start with that. Or like, I have different variation of it. But then I started to
Yeah.
build this because I could see that, okay, that's more doable, and then people can slowly shift over to
It's a good
pleasant
start.
gratefulness.
Yeah.
Is the opposite, right? So this is a form of gratefulness that is often driven by joy and happiness. I'm grateful for something that did happen to me and
Yeah.
is in my life.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it.
The absence of
I love it.
negativity is a
I'm
good
taking so
one.
many tips from you. I'm stealing so much from you today. Crazy.
You're welcome.
Mhm.
You're welcome.
No,
We should
because
probably
you're
also
right.
steal.
Like when
No.
you're in that catastrophic mood, like being
Yeah.
grateful for certain things, it might not even be possible, but you can be realistic. Okay, I'm not grateful of coffee because I'm not even feeling the flavor. But yes, I have to acknowledge that even though I feel this is a whole catastrophic moment, or my life is a in a catastrophic state, I'm not blind. I can see, I can hear. Yeah. Okay, I cannot
Right.
taste right now because I don't
Yeah.
feel taste, but I have to acknowledge I still see. So match it with reality. No, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do like Johnny Chaos.
I
Every
like that.
morning I try to imagine 5 impossible things. He wrote that in the comment to this live stream. Well, thank you, Johnny Chaos. Imagine 5 impossible things. That's definitely an alternative.
Oh, I don't know about that. Can you explain me?
Yeah, you
What
can
does it
just
mean?
see the YouTube video that we are making live, and then we can see people actually writing stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, it was just to share some
Yeah.
alternatives, because that's the thing. Sometimes we also need to break it down to a practical level that is a little bit closer for them to maybe think,
Mhm.
okay, I guess I could do that. Well, I mean, if it's only that, I guess I could try. Oh, it's an Alice in Wonderland quote. I didn't know that. Johnny Chaos wrote this.
Yeah.
Every morning I try to imagine 5 impossible things.
Yeah. I think that's a good that's a good the absence of negative is better than having nothing to be grateful for. Like you said, it's a good start. I also think it's a great I try to tell people that when they're trying to make a change in life, do something that they've never done before,
Mhm.
have growth they've never had before, that oftentimes you start with what do you not want to do? You know, what is the negative thing that you don't want in your life? And you can build from there. And you can, as you live life and gain experience, see like here's what is important to me. Here's what does really make a difference to me. You know, here's what I really want to invest my time and energy into. But sometimes at the start it's just I don't want this, I don't want this. So, yeah, I'm grateful that I don't have cancer. There's no bombs, you know. We're on a spinning rock in the middle of space and a meteor has not crushed us and blown the whole thing up. Um, those are good starts. I like that.
Such a
That's
pleasure
good point.
speaking with you guys. Love this. So glad.
I know you
Likewise.
guys. I know
This
you
is
guys
like
are.
rising my good, healthy dopamine. So, thank you.
Yes. All right. Well,
Welcome. Do we have more time left, or
we've
are we good?
gone over an hour. Is there anything you wanted to add, Daniel?
I feel like that the time always goes so fast, and there's just so much to say and cover. But I mean, yeah, sure, we
Yeah.
have something for future episodes, so it's all
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I just wanted to maybe add that, yeah, again, even though it sounds counterintuitive, start negative gratitude practice before you can do the positive, and then slowly mix it up, and then you can slowly shift, and it will actually do something for you. Because that's the thing, like, if you're not doing anything, you're sure not really going to not get any changes that you maybe really want to.
Mhm.
So start small.
Yeah.
Like, it has to sort of like be like that your thoughts kind of is like, is it just that? Or I guess I could
Yeah.
try that. Yeah, that wouldn't take that much long time. I mean, for example,
Mhm.
just to add a side note to this, I've been doing this for, well, I don't know, at least maybe 3 or 4 years every evening, but as a mental exercise. Some people like to journal stuff. I know
Mhm.
if I'm really tired, it's not going to happen tonight. But I can always think just before I'm actually going to sleep,
Yeah.
what was like 3 or 5 things that actually happened today? And then I kind of move throughout the day, and sometimes it's very small things, but everything counts. And it's a
Hmm.
great way to make your brain will actually start to notice these things, even though how small they may be.
Yeah. Yeah.
It will start to pick it up, and yeah, then it gets easier. So it's okay. Be patient with yourself. It's okay. It takes time, but it's
Yeah.
actually worth it. Because how absurd is it that you kind of could make some numbers dictate how your mood should be for the entire day?
Right.
That's insane, you know?
Yeah. I know it is, and we are insane. I think that we're like bipolar insane in crypto here.
Yeah, you kind of have to be to some degree, I guess.
You
Yeah.
have to have a little something off with you to do this, and it's a very fine line in how far off you are. Because if you cross a certain line, you're too far off. But if you
Well, there
don't
are
get to
You're
a
certain
in
certain
between the
line,
personality
line.
traits
then
related
you
to.
avoid all the risk if you don't go too far. So,
Right.
yeah, I think
Or you
too
go to Alice in
the
Wonderland.
for me too the being like being a Catholic Christian, that a lot of times that comes for me and maybe some other people watching, in when I'm praying or I'm doing some, Catholicism, there's a lot of ritual prayers there where embedded is being thankful for things. But yeah, just noticing, like, praying and saying thank you for, could be basic stuff. It can be the absence of bad things. It could be because of positive things that have happened. But I find that to be very helpful, um, for me. And I think that is just as good as of a practice as just coming up with things that you're thankful for, every day in life before you go to bed. Um, so yeah, that's
Or in the morning.
in the morning. Yeah. Yeah. I think this Daniel may be a good thing to expand on in a certain conference that may be coming up soon.
We could do that. Yeah.
I think so, because I'm having some other ideas too about this. Um,
Okay.
yeah. All right. Well, y'all, I forgot to like introduce you all in the beginning more formally. Sometimes I like to do that.
What is the third stream?
Yeah. What's that?
It's the third stream, man. So kind of like we already did it the first two.
Hopefully everyone knows. I know Daniel is a psychomotor therapist.
Yes.
And then, okay, Danielle, I messed up. I forgot your official title.
A psychiatrist.
Psychiatrist.
Mhm.
So we need to send all our prescriptions to Daniela. I would like to
No, you can
refill
use supplementation. Actually,
my benzodiazepine bottles for
Let me-
Daniela.
I'm going to add something. Ashwagandha has proven to be very effective to decrease cortisol levels in blood.
What's
Like
that
if you
again?
want to ashwagandha, if you want to talk about or
Ashwagandha.
thinking like
Ashwagandha.
options besides
Mhm.
like regular psychiatric medication, because the regular psychiatric medication is usually used for short term, except antidepressants.
That's like
But
a
there is
mushroom,
a there is a bunch of-
extract, right? Ashwagandha.
yeah, it's I'm not very familiarized yet with ashwagandha. I did take it for some time, but for a different purpose.
Ashwagandha.
Ashwagandha, melatonin, magnesium, ashwagandha and magnesium
It
for
sounds like
helping
a country
decreasing the
in Africa.
cortisol levels in blood. But it's kind of like you can attack or work on burnout from different points of view. Ashwagandha, like
Yeah.
a supplementation alone is not gonna be effective, or it's like you need like the like we were talking about, like right now he might need like a break or like really focusing in the work-life balance situation plus supplementation. I would say, in my humble opinion, number one, the way he's feeling right now, I would tell him, get a coach or a professional to help you, not even an accountable body, someone that knows what you're going through, because he's like, right now he's very catastrophic, his thought process. So I think someone that put him back in reality, right? Because but yeah, we can like mindfulness, yoga, going
Mhm.
for a walk, everything that a combination of self-care, and working in boundaries. Like sometimes people that has like fluid boundaries, or like they are people pleasers, they also need to work in their boundaries. And it seems in this case maybe he needs to work in his boundaries, because he says that people can like sucks his energy. Maybe people is just doing what they always do, but maybe he's like a giver and he's not working in
Right.
setting proper boundaries. Like, so yeah.
Yeah. So it's also like a self-regulating thing. Like
Mhm.
start to train that as well, and there's some awareness about that
Mhm.
that can overlap
We'll
to
have to
that
see
what
in
you're
his
speaking.
case what is like the most fundamental things to
Yeah.
work on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that.
Also, too, he mentioned Frodo and Middle Earth, and Frodo can't return to his former life. But we don't know that Frodo didn't go to a much better life than his former life when he was, leaving Middle Earth. It could have been a much better place for him. He could have had a much better existence. We don't know. So that would be my encouragement. Is it may be unknown what is ahead, but it may be better than what is here now or what has been. So I
Yeah.
think
And
that's
for
a good way to look at it.
yeah. Plus that, even though the example can sound a little bit negative, but like in this case with Frodo and Lord of the Rings, like it ends good, they succeed in their endeavors.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing, right? In crypto, people hope that this will have a good ending.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even though there is a lot of things in his post that maybe speaks of, yeah, not so much hope left. Well, Lord of the Rings, a lot of the things that actually happens
Yeah.
in Lord of the Rings is actually just one big journey of trying to play with the hope and still persisting and trying. And even though they have little and are not really look like great majestic creatures, they're still trying to push through, and then eventually it pays off. So I feel like that as a symbolically, Lord of the Rings is actually a really good free movies to watch, just to look at like human behavior and like psychology of like because I remember one said like that philosophically you can actually see the ring has the ego and the personal need of materialism and stuff that you really want. The ego wants to gather through life, and that can be a pain on its own. To trying to like if that takes over, it becomes a dominant factor in your life. You end up suffering more than you actually enjoying it without knowing it, maybe.
Mhm.
So you could, to some degree, argue that that's actually what he actually symbolically releases and letting go of.
Mhm.
Is that ego, compared to Smeagol, Gollum. He eventually gets the ring, but he gets consumed by it in the
It's
end,
just
in the lava. But he gets what he wants, at least what he thinks he wanted, all this time, all along.
exactly.
But he
Big
was a normal human being before.
yeah.
He just slowly changed into Gollum
He
because
was
he let himself consumed by this.
he got drunk
So
on the dopamine hits
yeah,
of the ring. Yes.
yeah,
Well,
you
they
can
did
kind of
they
see that.
did they did in the end avoid one big negative, which is a positive. So,
Yeah,
they destroyed the ring, they threw it in the fire, and that was that. They avoided. And to bring it all back, now if we're going to do the Lord of the Rings metaphor, we are all here involved in Pulse Chain, which is the one blockchain to rule them all. And we have PulseX, which is the one DEX to rule them all. And we have X, which is the one store of value to rule them all. I see what I did there.
Yeah, it was nice.
I love it.
All right, so let's see here. So Daniela, we can find you at Daniela3619, and anywhere else you want to mention?
No, for now. I'm focusing on X right now.
You give us your psychiatrist office address so we can get our
No.
scripts from you. Oh, okay. And at Joyful
Anyway.
Danish, you have a podcaster and a YouTube, I believe, right?
Yes, trying to build that up as well. So yeah, the same word, Joyful Danish, one word, or just simply joyfuldanish.com if you want to see the website. But yeah, the podcast is Joyful Danish, and YouTube, X, Instagram, everywhere. Yeah.
Very good. And I am at FreeBrandon7, and that is also the YouTube channel. And if you like this content, you can donate at freebrandon.pls. And this has been very good, guys. This has been an enjoyable one for me. So I will go to sleep tonight being thankful for this live stream. That's what I will be doing. All right. So we will I think we're going to try to do this maybe every other week or so. Is that right? Is that what we figured out?
Bi-weekly for now.
Okay. All right. So we will be doing that, and we will be sending positive energy to Mr. the Greek God 11 and prayers toward him, and to not give up hope in your life. Okay, my friend? And that's it. We'll see you guys next time. Have a lovely day and weekend. Bye, everyone.
Bye, people.
Take care. Stay human.
Stay human.